Welcome back to The Daily Shift, the podcast for Jesus lovers where faith and practical tools come together to transform your life in less than 1% every day. This is episode 19 of 21 in the Words Become Flesh series. In episode 18, we explored recognizing and acting on divine opportunities. This is where faith meets intentional action, a combination that propels you toward the life God has planned for you. Today, we're focusing on another critical element: cultivating courage through faith, leaning on God's promises to step boldly into His plans for you. Before we begin, I want to share a quick note about Rainmaker. It's a free resource designed to help you step into your God-given authority and to achieve faster results by rewiring your mindset for success. If you're ready to move boldly into the plans God has for you, you'll find the link in the show notes. Don't miss it. Hi, if you're new to me, my name is Raquel, and I'm your GPS for success. Now, the kind of courage we're talking about, it doesn't rely on bravado or self-confidence, but the courage that comes from deeply trusting God. It's the courage to take the next step when you feel unsure, to stand firm when fear tries to knock you over, and to say yes to God when everything in you is tempted to say no. Today, we're going to explore how to cultivate godly courage, the kind that relies not on your strength, but on His promises. Let's dive in. What does courage look like in a life of faith? Joshua 1:9 gives us this instruction. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. This isn't just an encouragement. It's not just a suggestion. It's a command. God calls us to live with boldness, not because what we bring to the table, but because He is with us. Worldly courage often relies on self-reliance, personal confidence, and external validation. It's the "you've got this" mentality. But godly courage is entirely different. It says, God's got this, and I'm trusting Him. It's not about the absence of fear, but the presence of faith. Faith that He goes before you, walks beside you, and strengthens you every step of the way. Even when we know God's promises, stepping out in courage can feel difficult. Let's talk about 3 common barriers that hold people back. The first one is the fear of failure or rejection. And you might have thoughts like, what if I step out and fail? What if people judge me? These fears of what if can paralyze you and keep you from moving forward in obedience. The next set is something that I've been going back and forth with myself the last couple of months, and it's the overthinking or second guessing God's instructions. It might sound like, did I hear God? What if I misunderstood Him? These are not helpful questions at all. These kind of doubts can leave you spinning in circles, never taking the bold step of faith. And maybe when you do, or if you do, it's very slow and happening. And then you're unsure, right? And you're not really all in. And so then you're not getting the results that you were supposed to have. The last one is comparison and feelings of imposter syndrome. And maybe those thoughts, they sound like, why would God use me when others are more talented, more qualified, more confident? Comparing yourself to others will always rob you of courage. And they also rob you of your blessings. These barriers are real. And they're real because they're taking up mental real estate, right? The key is to recognize them and then choose faith over fear. But how can you actually do that practically? If you're wondering how to develop godly courage, here are 3 practical steps to get started. Firstly, reflect on God's faithfulness. Take time to look back on your life and identify moments when God has shown up for you. Write them down as a testimony. When fear arises, these reminders will strengthen your trust in Him. Secondly, surround yourself with encouragers. Proverbs 27:17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Find people who build your faith, challenge you to step out in obedience, and remind you of God's promises. And if you don't have a place where you can do this, then I invite you to check out the society, which is my monthly membership. This is exactly what we do. Part of the society is that we also, or you also, have opportunity to have coaching from me. You have coaching with me right now, one-to-one, through like Messenger or Telegram. It's 24/7 asynchronous coaching. So if you're looking for a place where you can show up and be yourself, then I invite you to the society. That link for more information will be in the show notes. And lastly, speak bold declarations daily. Words have power. Start your day by speaking the truth, like I am strong and courageous because the Lord is with me. This is something I work on with my clients, helping them rewire their thoughts through intentional, faith-filled declarations. It's also why I've been inspired recently to create songs along the same thing, where we're speaking bold declarations over our lives, things that we want, things that we see in the Word. And if you would like to look at the playlist, it's on YouTube. And I will also go ahead and put that link for ease of reference for you in the show notes. Let's bring some science into the conversation. When fear arises, your brain's amygdala activates the fight or flight response. It's designed to protect you from harm. And while this is helpful in danger situations, it can also hold you back from stepping into your calling. But what's the good news? You can retrain your brain. Every time you take a small step of courage, you're creating new neural pathways that weaken fear's grip. And at the same time, you're strengthening your trust in God. Over time, these pathways make it easier to act boldly, even in uncertainty. This is one of the processes I guide my clients through, small, consistent actions that lead to lasting change. It's about taking the next step, no matter how small, and trusting that God will meet you there. This is another reason why I created the songs. It's a really easy way for you to release fear, release anxiety, release the worry, and at the same time start proclaiming the trust that you have in God. There's a lot of different genres that I'm creating and a lot of different topics. Go ahead and check it out. The Bible is filled with stories of godly courage. And here are 3 examples to inspire you. Firstly, we know the story of David facing Goliath, and you can read that in 1 Samuel 17. David's courage, it didn't come from his strength, but his faith. He declared the battle is the Lord's, and he faced Goliath with boldness. Esther, risking her life, you can read about that in Esther 4. Esther stepped before the king to save her people, saying, if I perish, I perish. Now, she didn't automatically say that. She had to have a conversation, because who would want to do that? I mean, we even see King Jesus doing that, right? In the garden. And he's just like, if there's any way that this cup can be passed from me. But it was the same. Let your will be done and not mine. And for Esther, her courage came from knowing that God had positioned her for such a time as this. Peter walking on water, Matthew 14. Peter stepped out of the boat, trusting Jesus. And even when he faltered, Jesus was there to catch him. These stories remind us that courage isn't about being perfect. It's about being willing to trust God and take the next step. So let's pause for a moment to practice courage together. Think of a situation in your life where fear has held you back. Maybe it's a step of faith you've been avoiding, a decision you've been second guessing, or a challenge that feels too big. Close your eyes and imagine Jesus standing beside you. Now hear him say, take heart. It is I. Do not be afraid. As he did in Matthew 14:27. Now picture yourself stepping forward, not in your own strength, but in his. Visualize the fear fading as His peace fills your heart. When you're ready, write down one actionable step that you can take toward the situation. Commit to taking that step today. Remember, courage grows one step at a time. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's faith in action. When you trust God's promises and rely on His strength, you can face anything with boldness. He is with you every step of the way, equipping you for the plans He has for you. And if today's episode has encouraged you, I invite you to check out Rainmaker. This free course will help you to step into your God-given authority and see faster results. Again, you'll find that link in the show notes. In the next episode, we're going to talk about the power of commitment and how you really don't have to do more of what you're currently doing. You actually will go farther doing less. It's going to be very powerful, and I hope that you join me. Thank you for spending time with me today. Keep trusting, keep showing up, and keep stepping forward in faith. Every time you take a step forward, it doesn't have to be a big one. Baby steps are worth celebrating. Until next time, may God's riches and best be yours. Bye for now.